My friend set me up with my girlfriend, but it was all a cruel joke. They've all slept with her before. Welcome to Story Nest. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps a lot and ensures you don't miss any of our stories. I'm 22 years old, and I've been with my girlfriend for 4 amazing years now. To be completely honest, these have been the best years of my life. From the moment I met her, I knew there was something special about her. She's not just kind and compassionate, but she has this magnetic energy about her that draws people in. She's hilarious, insanely creative, she's an artist, and just an all-around joy to be around. Her laugh is infectious, and her positive attitude makes every day feel brighter. She's incredibly energetic and always full of ideas. She's constantly on the move, jumping from one project to another, and sometimes it's tough to keep up with all her adventures. But honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. We met this summer after high school graduation through a group of mutual friends. The instant we started talking, I felt like I had found someone who understood me in a way I didn't even know was possible. We shared so many of the same interests: comics, anime, Marvel and DC movies, Dungeons and Dragons. It was like we were speaking the same language. We quickly bonded over these shared passions, and it wasn't long before we were spending weekends together, attending conventions, anime events, and superhero film screenings. It was so easy to fall for her, not just because of our shared interests, but because of how genuine she is. We just clicked. Our relationship grew quickly, and before long, we were officially a couple. It felt natural, like it was meant to be. We didn't have to force anything. It was as though we were always supposed to be together. One of the best parts about being with her is how my family instantly embraced her. My parents, who can be a bit protective, took to her right away, and that meant the world to me. It's such a relief to know that the people who matter most in your life support your relationship. I'm sure many people can relate to the pressure of wanting their family to like their partner, and in my case, my girlfriend quickly became a part of the family. It made everything even more perfect. Of course, they can be a little overprotective at times, as parents do, but overall, they love her, and that makes me feel so incredibly lucky. It was around this time that we began joking about getting married one day. We'd talk about having a nerdy, geeky wedding filled with cosplay and references to all the things we loved. We even talked about starting a family together, how cool it would be to raise kids who would be as into comics and Dungeons and Dragons as we were. I've never been more sure of anything in my life than I am about her. I know I want to spend the rest of my life with her, and I've been planning to propose later this year. Everything just feels so right, and it's the next step in our relationship that I can't wait to take. But this is where things took an unexpected turn. I have 3 close friends, guys I've known since elementary school. We've been through everything together. We went to the same middle and high schools, and even after graduation, we stayed close. Over the years, we kept in touch, even though they all moved to different cities for college. We'd catch up on Zoom calls and occasionally visit each other. I decided to stay in my hometown to be close to my family and my girlfriend. So, when I told them that I was planning to propose, I expected them to be happy for me, or at least supportive. After all, these are the guys I've known my whole life. They were like brothers to me. But instead of excitement or encouragement, they laughed it off, telling me I was making a huge mistake. They kept calling me naive, saying I wasn't thinking clearly and that I wasn't ready for marriage. At first, I brushed it off as typical banter. I figured they were just messing with me because they weren't taking marriage seriously. But when it didn't stop and their teasing became more pointed, I started to wonder if there was something else going on. They made it seem like I was rushing into something, that I was making a fool of myself. I tried to ignore it at first, but eventually, they hit me with something I couldn't ignore, a story about my girlfriend that completely changed everything. I couldn't believe what they were saying. They told me they had met my girlfriend years ago, long before I knew her, and that they had this whole history with her that I never knew about. They said it all started at a midnight bowling event 8 years ago, where she had been invited by a mutual friend of theirs. They weren't even people I knew, so it seemed strange to me that they were all involved in this story. At first, I figured maybe they had just hung out a few times, but no. What they said next hit me like a ton of bricks. They told me that after they met her, they started hanging out with her regularly. They'd invite her to smoke weed, play video games, and watch anime. And then, they casually dropped the bombshell. They all slept with her. They didn't mince words either. They referred to her as a slut multiple times, saying they'd passed her around among the group. They said she was just there for their pleasure, and that's the only reason they ever kept in touch with her. To them, it was all a joke, a game, to see who could get lucky with her. The worst part? They then revealed that they had intentionally introduced me to her with the hope that I'd fall for her too. But it wasn't because they cared about her. No, they thought it'd be funny to see if I'd treat her the same way they had, just another target to pass around in their group. The thought of it made my blood run cold. They showed me Instagram messages from back in the day where they kept in contact with her, and it all felt like this horrible setup from the start. When they laid it all out like that, I was in disbelief. How could I have not known any of this? All of this history, all of these interactions were completely hidden from me. And to make matters worse, they were laughing at me, calling me a dumbass for dating her in the first place. They even went so far as to say I should have known better, because, apparently, if I had, I would have seen her for what they thought she was, some object to be used for their amusement. They couldn't believe that I had gotten serious with her, and they thought I was being too soft for not treating her the same way they had. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt betrayed, but also confused. How could I have known? Friends introduce their friends to each other all the time. It's completely normal. And it wasn't like my girlfriend and I had moved in together right away or rushed into a physical relationship. We had taken our time, built a strong foundation based on mutual respect and affection. To me, she was a real person, not some joke or challenge. But to my friends, she was just another one of their conquests. And they didn't think I was capable of seeing her as anything else. It made me question everything, the way they had behaved, the way they had treated her, and the way they were trying to manipulate me into seeing her the same way. They told me I was stupid for not realizing the truth sooner, and that they were only looking out for me. They said I shouldn't propose to her because she's too much of a slut and that I deserved better. It was like they were trying to brainwash me into thinking she was somehow beneath me and that I should be ashamed of the relationship we had. It was as if they were trying to ruin everything for me, and the worst part was, they didn't seem to care how much they were hurting me. I couldn't even process it at first. It felt like my entire world had just shifted. I didn't know what to believe anymore. These were the people I had trusted the most, the ones I thought had my back. And now, they were calling my girlfriend every degrading name in the book, making light of our relationship, and doing everything they could to tear us apart. But the most disturbing part of all this wasn't just the way they treated her, it was how they had manipulated me into thinking everything was fine when it wasn't. They wanted me to think I was just another guy who got lucky with her, and that was the punchline of their twisted joke. They thought it was funny to mess with someone's feelings and life. And it felt like everything I knew about friendship and loyalty had been completely warped by their actions. I couldn't handle it. I had to step back. I didn't know how to confront them or what to do next. All I knew was that I couldn't stay silent, but I also couldn't let them win. They wanted me to feel ashamed of my girlfriend and our relationship, and that was something I wouldn't allow. So I stopped talking to them. I stopped answering their calls, stopped reading their messages, and just went silent. It was the only thing I could do to protect my peace. And honestly, it felt like a weight had been lifted. After that, I had to figure out what I was going to do next. I still couldn't wrap my head around the situation. My friends, the ones I had known for years, had turned into complete strangers to me. I had trusted them with my life, and yet they treated my girlfriend as if she were nothing more than a joke. It wasn't just about the past, it was about how they tried to manipulate me, how they thought I would just discard someone I love based on their petty, cruel behavior. I had to remind myself that their opinion of her didn't matter. But the hardest part of all this wasn't even the betrayal from my friends. It was what happened when I confronted my girlfriend about everything. I sat down with her, as gently as I could, to explain what I had learned. My heart was pounding in my chest, and I could feel the weight of it in my stomach. I was terrified of how she would react. I knew she didn't deserve any of this, but I still needed to know the truth. The moment I told her about what my friends had said, she broke down completely. I had never seen her like that before. It was as if I had just told her something catastrophic had happened. She started apologizing over and over again, saying how sorry she was, that she never wanted me to find out about her past. She was shaking, crying, and panicking as if she had done something terrible. It was heartbreaking to watch. She kept telling me she had never slept with anyone else while we had been together, and that she had never been aware of any plan my friends had made. She insisted that when she first met them, they were just inviting her to hang out like friends do. She had no idea that any of this would turn into some twisted game. The more she spoke, the more I realized just how much she cared about me, how much she loved me. She kept asking me, "You probably think I'm a slut, right?" And that hit me like a punch to the gut. She truly believed that I would look at her differently after learning about her past, and that crushed me. I couldn't stand hearing her question her worth like that. I knew it wasn't true. She wasn't a slut. She wasn't anything like what my friends had painted her to be. She was the person I had fallen in love with, the person who had supported me through everything, the one who made me feel like I mattered. So I held her in my arms, trying my best to comfort her. I told her that nothing, absolutely nothing, had changed. My feelings for her were as strong as ever, and I wasn't going anywhere. She thought that I was going to break up with her, and I couldn't stand to see her so scared. I kept reassuring her that I loved her and that her past didn't matter to me. We were in this together, and I wasn't going to let anyone, least of all my so-called friends, ruin what we had. I didn't care about the things they said, and I didn't care about the history she had with them. All I cared about was her, and I wasn't going to let that go. The reason she never told me about any of this sooner was because she feared how I would react. She had always cherished our relationship from the moment we met, and she didn't want to risk losing me. She said I treated her like a human being, with kindness and respect, and that's what made her feel comfortable with me. She didn't want to jeopardize that, and I completely understood. She said she never wanted me to think of her as anything less than the person I had fallen in love with. And the truth was, I never would. I realized then that what mattered most was not what had happened in the past, but the person she was now and the person I knew her to be. She wasn't perfect, and neither was I, but we had built something real and beautiful together. I wasn't going to let the past define us. As for my friends, I've cut contact with them completely. I haven't answered their calls, and I haven't responded to any of their texts. They've been bombarding me with messages, and some of them have even started to make light of the situation, telling me I should get checked, because I might have caught something. It's all been one big joke to them, and I'm done with it. I can't be around people who don't respect the person I love, who treat her as if she's disposable. I'm still planning to propose to my girlfriend. Nothing has changed in my heart, and I want to spend the rest of my life with her. But I'm also learning to take time for myself to process everything that's happened. It's been mentally and emotionally exhausting, but I know that what I have with her is worth it. She's worth it. I don't know where this will all go, but I do know one thing. I'm not letting anyone, no matter how long I've known them, control my happiness or tell me who I should love. I've made my choice, and I'm sticking to it.